Hello again. This is now the tarot lesson number 34. And two main parts today. First, though, somebody left a comment about the last one saying they were now confused because I said the Three of Pentacles is the card of the Master. The Eight is the card of the Apprentice. And this person, whose name I can't remember, said they'd read elsewhere or read somewhere that the Eight is the Master and the Three is the Apprentice. So you can, of course, do whatever you want. I began in a lot of ways with Eden Gray's books, Mastering the Tarot, and I can't remember the name of the other two, but she mentioned that the Eight is the Apprentice and the Three is the Master, and I just accepted it and followed it ever since. So that's why I talk like that. Secondly, Evelyn asked about significators. So in lots of books will tell you if you get, because court cards can represent different types of people, different hair color, different eye color, then depending on the questioner you would select, and the gender, kings and knights are men or males, queens and pages are young or females. So if you've got a dark-haired man with dark eyes, that's the King of Swords. And then, by contrast, if I can find another one here, the Page of Cups is, I can't remember. It's like a different, maybe it's a blonde-haired. No, blondes go with batons, and dark hair goes with swords, and I can't remember the other two. So my problem, I tried that in the beginning, but then I would find somebody with black hair and blue eyes. So what do you do? Because black hair and black eyes, or dark eyes, is a King of Swords, but there was nothing for dark hair and blue eyes. So I very quickly stopped using that method. And nowadays, you may well know, or you may know, that I like to get people to pick a number between 1 and 9 and between 0 and 22. But I think it's valuable to begin with a significator. Sometimes you would you could, for instance, say, okay, let's say you're the questioner. I pick a card at random and I get this one, and it happens to be the Queen of Swords. So that goes in the middle of the table, and so this represents the questioner, and then the other cards are laid on top of and around this particular card. Let's say it's whatever, a 3-card spread. And then you could do that if you want. I don't like to take a card from the deck, because then if I take one out, I've got 77 cards and not 78. And I like to use, I don't know why, I like to use 78. Maybe because 7 and 8 is 15, and whereas 7 and 7 is 14. So do I want the deck to be the Devil, or do I want it to be the Temperance card? And for myself, I like 78 cards rather than 77. So I've got my own reasons for asking for a number between 1 and 9 and 0 to 22. You might want to begin a reading by asking the questioner to pick a number between 0 and 22 and use that as a significator. So if they pick, if I can find a card here, they pick 19, right? So you say, okay, you do something with this card. You show them the 19th major trump and say, this represents you at the moment, now, and for a little bit into the future at least. So you're confident, you're optimistic, you're expecting good things, you're like a child, you're childlike, so you find things interesting. You're on a horse, so you can travel, you can go places. The sun is shining. You know, you do a general kind of reading about the condition or the state of mind that the questioner is in at that moment. So you take it out and you talk to him, and then as you shuffle, let's say you do a 3-card spread, and you've got past, present, and future. and you do the present card, and it's the sun. I did that. Obviously, I put that there. So, excuse me. If the card, excuse me, if the number that the person chose, the major trump that goes with it, happens to come up in the reading, it's some kind of indication that maybe this is what's going to happen, or the reading is legitimate. It doesn't mean if the card doesn't come up that it's not legitimate, but there's something about, if let's say somebody wants to know, should I move to Chicago or New York City? And you pick a card for Chicago and you get Temperance. And you pick a card for New York City and you get the Sun card. They picked the number 19. So the answer is go to New York. So you can find that having a significator card before you pick cards, if that particular card comes up, it can give you a clue or an idea or a direction which to go. The other thing is you could just, if you don't want to ask them anything, you could get them to, or you could shuffle and pick a card, as I did a moment ago. And let's say we get, I keep getting major trump. I don't want a major trump. I just want something. Okay, let's say you get the Tower reversed for the questioner. You know that they're going through a difficult time because it's a Tower and it's upside down. So it's time, they're going to be left with a mess to clean up. And so you can explain this to them beforehand and maybe ask them, does it make sense? And then they'll say yes, blah, blah, blah. And then you've got an idea of what the question ought to be. But maybe it doesn't make that much sense to them. So you would talk, and maybe you then talk about the lesson to be learned, so that if you sense or notice that things are not working out the way you want them to work out, rather than ignore it and keep your fingers crossed that it's all going to be okay, look at what's going on and see if you can dismantle it and reassemble it a bit to make it stronger or better or more in line with what it is that you actually want, which is a kind of interpretation of the Tower reversed. So you could do that, or and so I'm not sure if that answers your question or if it deals with significator cards. That's all I can think of at the moment. So the other thing is, I want to show you this now. Not that I expect we'll do much with it, but it's for later, because we'll come back to it. So it's 3 shapes, and you might want to take a couple of minutes now and again and imagine what they're telling you or what they're about, because one is a circle and one's a semicircle and one is a cross. So this is a circle of spirit, whatever that might mean. This is a semicircle of soul, whatever that might mean. And this is a cross of matter. Matter is kind of easier because that's you when you're asleep and that's you when you're awake. Right? And this is life on earth, because we can't stay awake all the time and we can't stay asleep all the time. We can be in an induced coma, but that's not the same as being asleep. So this cross of matter deals with change, because this can be sunrise, noon, sunset, midnight. Okay, the 4 points of the day. So with the cross of matter, you've got change and you've got cyclic improvement, maybe, or cyclic, whatever the opposite of improvement is, deterioration. Because, and you can think about what's the right direction to go. Do you go this way? Maybe that's good, whereas going this way is the opposite. Or maybe it's just a different way of going. So if you go this way, you're going from here and you're moving up in the world, so to speak. Whereas here, you're going down and you need to leave your high position and mingle with regular situations, maybe to get a different perspective on what's up here. So this is the cross of matter. The circle is a circle of spirit. There's no beginning and no end. And the semicircle, it's like the moon, and the moon has no light of her own. She reflects the light of the sun. So this is full of energy and full of beings, the circle is. Whereas the moon has no energy and depends on other people or other situations, or depends on conditions to be able to do anything. But it can't initiate. It depends on others. Whereas this can initiate. And this is maybe the area, because what's Shakespeare? All the world's a stage, and all the men and women merely players. We have our entrances and our exits. And this cross of matter might be the stage on which we act out our lives. So if you spend a bit of time just wondering, and maybe a year from now you'll have this, something will click, and you'll understand something that it took you a year to understand, but you know it when you know it. So I picked out a few cards here because we've got a circle here, and there's the Wheel of Fortune. So in what way does the Wheel of Fortune with two circles relate to the idea of spirit? Have we got spirit within spirit, whatever that might mean? And this is where I said a few classes ago or lessons ago about wonder. So what does spirit within spirit mean, where you've got a circle within a circle? Is it two separate things, or is it something contained within something else? And it's a Wheel of Fortune. It's a wheel that goes round and round. You're on the top, then you're on the bottom. And that's what's going to happen with a wheel. It goes, assuming that the wheel is moving, it's going up and down, or the people on the outside, or the situation on the circumference is going up and down. There isn't stability. Maybe there's stability if you can handle it, but there is change, so to speak. And this can be what the cross here represents change, and we've got a change in the middle here. So this particular card shows us a circle and a cross, whereas the world, even though the world is an ellipse, somehow it's circular. So maybe the world relates to spirit as well. And the High Priestess has the moon below her feet, and she's got a headdress with two moons on it. So the High Priestess is the moon, or is reflective. So maybe with the High Priestess, she needs, or the condition or the situation that the card represents needs outside dynamic energy, or needs outside factors in order to be able to do anything. That on her own, or on its own, it can think and it can reflect, but it's not very good at taking action. And then I've got the moon card up here, or the moon card, where we've got a circle and we've got a semicircle, or a half circle within it. So the moon is showing you spirit, but also the reflection within the spirit. And that might remind you of this Eight of Cups, where you've got the circle up top. I believe you've also got the moon as well. And here in the Two of Swords, we've got a wax. The moon can be from the new moon to the full moon is waxing. It's getting bigger. From the full moon back to the new moon is waning. It's getting smaller. And often the new moon is represented this way, and the old moon is represented this way. So there's a difference between the moon in the Two of Swords, where it's the new moon, so it's the beginning of the process, or the beginning of the cycle, whereas with the Eight of Cups, it's the end. You're approaching the end of the cycle, or the thing, whatever it is coming to an end. It's coming to a conclusion. If it's upright, it's coming to a successful conclusion. If it's upside down, an unsuccessful conclusion. I don't know how long this has been, but I'll do one last little bit here. So the thing about the circle, the semicircle, and the cross is that the planets, the symbols for the planets, are made up of these shapes. So the sun is a circle with a dot in the middle, which is like a little dot, a little circle inside a big circle. And this can be the spark of life within the zodiac, or within you, controlled by the zodiac. The moon is usually drawn like that, and this reflects the sun. But so we've got spirit and soul and matter. But Venus, the planet of beauty and harmony, is a circle on top of the cross. Whereas Mars, the old symbol for Mars, used to be that. The matter on top of spirit. Whereas here with Venus, you've got spirit on top of matter. Again, whatever that might mean. And we can wonder, or we can debate, or we can argue about what spirit over matter actually is about. But if you notice, Venus and Mars don't have any soul, right? There's no semicircle with Venus and Mars. Whereas with Jupiter, that's the cross of matter, but there's soul in Jupiter and no spirit. Whereas with Saturn, the old way is like that. So Saturn is also soul and matter, but no spirit. Neptune, like that, but Mercury. And Mercury is a symbol of mankind. It's people, it's us, it's how we think. And Mercury is done like that, where you've got all three symbols. And this can be why people are people, why we are built the way we're built, or what we're capable of. We're capable of understanding and functioning in matter. We're capable of understanding and receiving soul. And we're also capable of expressing spirit, or understanding what spirit is. And we've got all three within us in a particular layout, as if you've got Venus with a bit of soul on top. The reason I wanted to do this is because Pluto represents the masses. This is man, an individual person. And Pluto, which is done like this, is the masses. It's groups of people. So you see that the human being, a single individual, has sort of equal parts matter, spirit, and soul. But when you get a whole bunch of people together in a group, the masses, you've got matter, okay? You've got lots of soul, lots of reflective ability, and very little spirit. All of which has importance that we may not appreciate or do much with right this second, but think about it and make some notes and see what you notice and what you come up with and what it tells you. And we'll come back to this over the next, at some point in the future, and maybe we'll do something clever with it. Okay, that was lesson 34. So, what's today? Tuesday. Wednesday, Friday. I'll be back on Friday. So thanks again for watching, and if you have questions, let me know. Okay? Bye-bye.